What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, bringing home the bacon. MLB DFS video. It is unfortunately Monday. It is August 21st, but we are back bringing you hopefully a very, very informative DFS video. If you've never been here before, I think you're in for a treat. I think we are better suited for what we give, the information. I think we are all inclusive outside of other big DFS providers that kind of steer you in a different direction. We're trying to steer you in the right direction. So if you've never been here before, hopefully you learned something. If you do, hit that like button. I think we are, and subscribe. I think we're 20 subscribers away from 8,000, which is awesome. The goal is 10,000. It was before the start of the NFL season. If that's still possible, that'd be amazing. We go through everything. We go through all of the pitching. We go through the bats. We look at it all. If you have questions, comments, get those down below. In the description of this video is our fantasy football league. It's on DraftKings. We have 200 spots available. $10 a week. If we fill all 200 spots, top 5 get paid. Top prize is $580 every single week. It's an open invitation. It's every single week, so get that in there. Get in the league. It is in the description down below, and we're trying to fill it up as quickly as we possibly can, slowly but surely. So, that being said, anytime a video gets at least 50 likes, you leave a comment and you're a subscriber to our channel, you have a chance to win a free week of DFS content. Anytime a video gets at least 100 likes, you have a chance to win a free month. If a video gets 125 likes, you have a chance to win a free yearly pass. And if a video gets 150 likes before the start of the main slate, you have a chance to win a lifetime pass. So we're going to go through it all. We're going to look. We had how many last? Yesterday's video had 73 likes, 710 views, 37 comments. So hopefully we're going to see someone win, and you can win multiple times. So if you're brand new to the channel and you leave a comment on this video, you have a chance to win every single day. So let's see who is going to win this round. Tim Parlapiano. If I got that correctly, I should pat myself on the back. But Tim, if you see this, hit that like button. Comment that you know that you saw it. And then there's two ways to get a hold of me. Either hit me up on Twitter at @advisors_team with a username and email that you would like me to set up with on the website. And that's why I kind of say don't just put it in these comments. Or you can hit me up on email, dfshelp1@gmail.com. And same thing, just let me know a username and email that you would like to use, and we'll get you set up for that free week. Now, what do we have to offer? MLB, MMA, NASCAR, NFL, PGA. NFL, obviously, we're not going to do preseason because preseason is a crapshoot. There's really no reason to do preseason. So it will include, if you get it now, you'll have, I believe, the first 2 weeks of the NFL season. So we're 2 weeks away. We're very excited. If you looked, our MMA, so our cheat sheet, we go through the cheat sheet on MMA, and then we give our predicted winner. 2 weeks ago, we went, I think, 9-4, and Saturday's UFC fights, we went 10-2. We only missed 2 fighters there, so people have been loving it. I got a lot of comments about it too. So many ways to support the channel. Liking the videos helps. Clicking on the ads definitely helps. It's completely free. Sending super thanks, which we got a couple of videos ago, which was awesome. Donating or sending tips. Our Cash App is down below, but we've also got PayPal and Venmo. If you guys would like to get that, just let me know. Or signing up at FTA Plus. FTA Plus is currently $24.99 a month. Or if you use the promo code NFL VIP, you get $100 off the NFL, or just the yearly pass. You get it for $99 instead of $199. So that being said, we are going to look at the games. Let's just dig into the games, see what you got, see if there's anything you guys have questions about, and hopefully we are able to help you out a little bit more. At the end of this video, so if you don't know, we do simulations. We do 10,000 simulations every day, and we put them into our DFS player projections. So we do 10,000 of those. At the end of this video, or near the end of this video, we're going to go over the top 10 batters and top 10 pitchers that the simulations currently likes. Now, depending on when you watch this video, they probably will have changed depending on if there's any new weather concerns, anything like that. It goes through ballpark rankings, weather concerns, historical matchups, BVPs, last 10 games, last 20 games, the batters and pitchers. So looking at it, it goes through a lot of things. So we will throw that out there, and then it will be updated throughout the day. It's usually updated about an hour, hour and a half before first pitch of the main slate. So let's dig right in here. You got two early games here. You got the Cubs at the Tigers. You got Javier Assad versus Alex Faedo. So we can dig in just a little bit to see. 6,700 for Assad. 6 innings against the White Sox his last start. 13.9. Okay at his price. We'd obviously like a little bit more, but we're looking at that. He had 4 Ks there, but he had 2 earned runs. Had a better game against Toronto. 7 innings against Toronto, 18.8 fantasy points. So he's only started a total of 4 games this year. He's never faced Detroit before. Detroit's been up and down. They are overall on the season, they've been kind of bottom tier or second to last ISO power against pitching, both lefty and righty. It's kind of changing a little bit. We used Torkelson as one of our core plays in yesterday's lineups. Hit a home run, I think his first at bat or second at bat. So looking at this, Assad only started 1 game on the road, has a better ERA, so these numbers are a little bit skewed. But again, it's a 2-game early slate. You got to get a little crazy here when we're looking at it. So Assad, just depending, we can kind of see that he has a good matchup on paper against Detroit, but it just depends on what Detroit team actually comes out. Then you got Faedo here. Game logs, really good game against Minnesota. Only 5 innings, had 6 Ks, no earned runs. Minnesota before that, 4.2 innings, 3 earned runs, 5 Ks. Splits-wise, hasn't faced Chicago, obviously, this season, and he's only faced 2 in his career, where Assad's only faced 4 there as well. So, that being said, we can dig in just a little. He's pitching at home. He has started 6 games at home, has a 6.16 ERA, and the Cubs have been hitting. So, I don't know if I'm looking at... don't know. We'll kind of look, and we'll see. Cubs bats, Tigers bats. Let's take a look. And if you want to see how the players do splits-wise, we've got batter splits here. Those will be updated. You can check that out if you want to see BVPs, stolen base targets, contrarian stacks, our cheat sheet, which includes a weather tab, optimal lineups as well. Those are all there. So, looking at the players that you would look at in this lineup for the Cubs, just depending on who comes out, what we're looking at. I'm all over Chris Morel here. I do like him. Suzuki I would look at. I would definitely be looking at Swanson. Ian Happ actually let us down. We had him as a home run parlay yesterday, but he still came through with a double RBIs. I would look at him. Tauchman, again, like I said, if Tauchman is leading off, he's a cheap leadoff player that I'd look at. I'd also look at Cody Bellinger here. Looking at this weather, cloudy, it may turn into rain, but I don't think it's going to. We should be go with the weather. If you're not taking Assad, Spencer Torkelson came through for us with a big home run yesterday. He's been on fire when we've used him. I'd use Riley Green. I would use Kerry Carpenter, maybe a little bit of Jake Rogers, but I don't know if he's going to start in this game. Honestly, yeah, like I've said in other videos, there's not a ton of Tigers bats that I would take outside of like Torque, Green, Carpenter, Rogers. Those would be the ones. Maybe a little bit of Matt Vierling, but probably stay with the top 4 here. And then if not, all else fails, Torkelson, Green, and Carpenter over Jake Rogers. So that is that game. Next game, you got the Giants at the Phillies. You got Scott Alexander, who's going to be the opener, followed by Sean Manaea. So they're going to be playing lefties for the majority of this game. Then you got Aaron Nola on the other hand. Scott Alexander, he's not going to do much for you. Nola has faced 106 of these Giants bats, 32.1 K percentage, 216 batting average there. So we dig into a little bit. So Alexander's going to go 1 inning, 0.1. He went point. See, this is what I don't understand. Using him as an opener, did he literally? He couldn't have. Because if you start, you have to face at least 3 batters, I believe. I'm sorry, but those eyebrows are painted on, right? Those eyebrows are painted on. Those don't even look like hair. That's hair. That's hair. That's paint. Don't believe it. I wouldn't use him. He looks like a clown. Anyway, .1 innings his last, so must not have started there or opened. He opened here for Tampa Bay. He opened for Tampa Bay again. You're not using him. Now you're looking at Manaea against the Phillies. Game logs. 3.1 innings against Tampa Bay. He actually came through. 3.1 innings with 5 Ks, 19.7. Same thing with the Angels. 4 innings here, 1 earned run, 17.8. He is 6,000 now, which he hasn't been since August 3rd. Splits-wise, he's faced Philly once this year, 1.2 innings, 1 earned run, 2 Ks, at 5.2 fantasy points. Don't know how deep he's going to go into the game, if he's going to go 4 innings after or 5. He's pitching on the road where he has a worse ERA. I'm taking the Phillies. I know they didn't look the best on Sunday Night Baseball against the mighty Washington Nationals, but I would still be using Aaron Nola as my pitcher, especially on the early slate, and then I would be using Philly bats here over San Francisco. Schwarber, even though, like I said in yesterday's video, he's batting like 180, but he's got 32 home runs, 33 home runs, 36. He's got a lot of home runs for his batting average of under 190, which is crazy. I would use him. I would use Bryce Harper, even lefty-on-lefty matchup. I don't mind. I would look at Trey Turner. I would look at Real Muto. I would look at Castellanos. I would look at Bohm in this situation here. So stacking and that against Scott Alexander and Manaea, both lefties. So yeah, that's probably what I would do in this game. Just looking at them. San Francisco, maybe J.D. Davis, maybe Jock Peterson. Conforto, maybe a little bit. Lamont Wade Jr. Luis Matos had a home run on Sunday. I'd look at them, but I think Wilmer Flores a little bit, but not very much. I'd rather probably still focus on the Philly bats and Aaron Nola for my pitching and hitting on this slate. So, just to reiterate, I know you have to have 2 pitchers here on DraftKings. Maybe Nola and Assad here. You can't go Alexander. Manaea possibly, but I don't trust him enough, and I don't trust Faedo. So, yeah, I'm probably going Nola and Assad in this 2-game early slate. So next game, Cardinals at the Pirates, Drew Rom versus to be announced. So I kind of wanted to see. So Drew Rom he was traded from Baltimore for Jack Flaherty. Making his debut, he is pitching in AAA. So overall, he had a 5+. So you can see overall, AAA before or right as he got traded. 5.34 ERA, 1.7 WHIP, and 100 strikeouts in 86 innings. So since getting traded, playing for Memphis, he struck out 18 batters and allowed just 1 earned run on 2 hits and 4 walks over 2 starts for their AAA team. Now he comes in, he gets a good matchup against Pittsburgh. He is 4,000. I don't know if he's going to be in a pitch count. I don't know if he's going to be limited at any direction. But at 4,000, I think you have to take a little bit of exposure to him. Now, again, he's making his major league debut. It really depends. Don't know what we're going to get out of him. But at 4,000 against Pittsburgh, I think I got to take it. Now, again, Pittsburgh can hit. We've seen them hit teams that are pitchers that are not supposed to be able to hit. So looking at this, at 4,000, you really can't go wrong, especially on the main slate. So that's kind of what I would look at there. And then Pittsburgh, it looks like it's going to be Bailey Falter. He last pitched on Tuesday, so it should come down to him. It's just not confirmed yet, but I think it should be. In that game, he against the Mets, 5.1 innings, 1 earned around 17 fantasy points. So his best outing, or his best start of his career, or not career, but at least this year, comes in with an 0-7 record, 4.86 ERA, 4 starts at home, which is where he's at. He's got a 6.27 ERA at home, Probably not going to take him there. Probably going to look at the bats. So looking at the bats here, depending on who you're going to take, Contreras, I don't mind. Paul Goldschmidt, I don't mind. Jordan Walker, I mean, really love me some righties against Falter here. I'd look at Burleson a little bit. Tyler O'Neill, if he's in there. If Wilson Contreras is out, Andrew Kisner is in. I like him against there. Tommy Edman, Nolan Arenado, I would look at as well. Maybe Mason Wynn as well, just depending. And then on the flip side, if you aren't using Rom and you're using the Pittsburgh Pirates bats, get Brian Hayes, who really let us down yesterday. I would look at him. I would look at Jack Sawinski. I would look at Brian Reynolds. I know those lefty on lefty, but I don't really care. I would look at Indy Rodriguez if he's in there starting at catcher. I wanted to use him yesterday, and he just wasn't the starter for him. So looking at that, I would use him if he's in there. I would use Connor Joe as well. Maybe Henry Davis, but I doubt it. I'll probably be looking at Kutch would be another one I'd look at too. I definitely look at Kutch there. But I will have some exposure to Drew Rom because he is so cheap, and he's going to allow us to pay up at almost every other position. So that's my thought in this game. A little bit of Rom, won't be using Falter, use more St. Louis bats, but I could see you using some Pittsburgh bats because he's making his debut and you don't know what's going to happen. Next game, the Mets at the Braves. David Peterson versus, they are calling back up Winans, Alan Winans. So we'll look at this. So David Peterson, first off, absolutely no. I'm not taking him. Game logs, 10.3 out of him at 6,000. That's not going to work. For whatever reason, DraftKings decided that they're going to raise his salary by 200 in one of the worst matchups he could possibly have, which makes no sense. You would think his price would be up there against Pittsburgh, which he only went 3.2 innings. So he's only going like 3.2 innings, and then it's going to, but he did strike out 5, but it's going to come down to the bullpen most likely. Splits-wise, he's faced Atlanta once this year, 5 innings pitched total, 4 earned runs, 14.2 fantasy points, but 7.2 ERA. Had 6 Ks in that game. I'm absolutely not taking him. And then Winans, getting called back up. So yeah, he just faced this Mets. So he just faced this Mets team. His last start on August 12th, and then got sent down. That's when they went on that 21-3 victory. He went 7 innings in that game, no earned runs, 9 strikeouts, 33.6. 7,500 there. Now he's 7,500 again. I'm not saying that's going to happen again because this is in the South. It's very hot in Atlanta. The ball will fly out of there. It's very humid. But I'll have some exposure to Winans because he is going up against a Mets team that he has had success in the past, literally a week and a half ago. So I will take exposure there. I'm not taking exposure to David Peterson. Yeah, I mean, stack the Braves most likely. Didn't work out for us yesterday. They actually lost. But that's the thought. That's where I would go. I would look at that. If for whatever reason you're not using Winans and you're not, I wouldn't use Peterson. I would use Winans a little bit. But if you're not going to and you want to look, Brandon Nimmo, a lefty on righty matchup. Lindor I would take. Vogelbach is only a tournament option for me. That's what I would go there. Francisco Alvarez I would look at. Pete Alonso had another home run yesterday. I would look at him. That's probably it for the Mets. I'm probably leaning more towards the Braves. Again, obviously, it's very obvious. It's going to be hard to stack this Braves team like you would want. Obviously, you want to take Acuna, Olsen, Ozuna, Riley because they're really good, but it's going to be very hard to pay up for them unless you use like Winans, unless you use Rom as well. So this is, I think, if you make multiple lineups, and most people I think do, but if you're one that makes multiple lineups, you could use Rom for one of your pitchers, especially even on Fanduel, and then you would be able to pay up for this high stack priced here for the Braves. If you want to go a little bit different with the Braves bats, you go like Acuna, Olsen, Harris the second, and Rosario. Or you could put in Nicky Lopez in there, or Vaughn Grissom if you want to. So you can, I think this will be a day where I will be using multiple different Braves stacks, just depending on how I build it out. So looking at that, that is my thought. The Braves are going to be one of the top stacks of the day. I mean, they're one of the top stacks every single day. That's for sure. So that's what I would look at there. Probably leaning more away from the Mets and the Braves, but if you want to get contrarian, just in case the Braves call Winan up and he does not do what he did last time, a lot of people will be off of the Braves, and you could go contrarian there. So the Mets are probably going to be one of the most contrarian stacks of the day, and that is kind of my thought process, trying to help you guys out. If these do help you out, hit that like button, guys. Smash that like button. It would help us out tremendously. So the next game, the Red Sox at the Astros. You got James Paxton versus Christian Javier. In yesterday's video, or in Sunday's video, or Saturday's video, I said don't take Framber. I didn't like him at his price. He was due to regress, which he did. I think he went 5 innings, 5 earned runs, or something like that. Give up a home run, and then, of course, as a trash player he hit the next batter, and then he wants to fight the person. I love baseball fights when the pitcher hits somebody because the other person hit a home run, and then they want to fight because they know they're going to be held back. They're absolutely just trash. So Paxton versus Javier. Paxton, 91 plate appearances against the Astros, 268. He's been a very serviceable pitcher this year. The Astros just got swept by Seattle, I believe, which you hate to see it. Of course, you hate to see it. Javier, 30 plate appearances, 167 batting average there. Paxton's up here at 8,300. Game logs, not the best game against Washington. 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 3 Ks. But then against Kansas City, 5.1 innings, 6 Ks. Had exactly what we needed there. He dropped down to 8,300. He's going up against Houston, so obviously he hasn't faced them this year, but he's faced them in the past, and he's had success. He's pitching on the road. Road games, he is worse, 3.94 ERA. Obviously, Houston can hit. They just didn't hit as much as they needed to in that series against Seattle. But we'll look at the game. We'll look at the numbers. Both Jordan and Kyle Tucker's batting like 380 or 350, a ridiculous number against lefties. Alvarez would be an option, lefty on lefty. He was day-to-day, but I think he should be good. Diaz came through for us yesterday. I believe he had a home run on Sunday. We had him in our lineups. Kyle Tucker, like I said, against the lefty I'm taking. Chas McCormick I would look at if he starts. I don't know if he will. You could be looking at Alex Bregman a little bit. Martin Maldonado, I wouldn't use him. He's terrible on offense. Jose Altuve at home against the lefty, I wouldn't be surprised if he hits a leadoff. So I would use those guys for there. And then if we're looking at Boston bats against Javier, Devers I would look at. I would look at Tristan Casas if he's in. I know he was questionable on Sunday. Jarren Duran I would look at. Justin Turner had a fantastic Sunday again. He had a few doubles and RBIs against the Yankees on Sunday. Yoshida, I would look at a little bit. Verdugo, probably tournament only. Kind of same thing with Pablo Reyes and Duvall. Those are both tournament options. I still don't trust Trevor Story, and I wouldn't use Reese McGuire. Urias did have a grand slam against Garrett Cole on Saturday, so he could be a viable option. Not a ton of red, but only 1 blue, so he's right in the middle. These are right in the middle here. Didn't have enough, didn't qualify enough, I guess, as to, I think they need at least 50 at-bats. I can't remember what qualifies at the moment, but those would be ones that I'd look at. Probably go away from McGuire and Story, and Refsnyder's probably not going to be in against a righty. So that's my thought in this game. Paxton on that hand, and then we could look at Christian Javier real quick. Game logs, not a good game against Miami. We did actually stack Miami against him, and it worked out for us last time. 4.2 innings, 4 earned runs, only 2 strikeouts in that game, 2.3 fantasy points. And then 8,100 for 13.1, not enough against Baltimore. 8.3 against the Yankees, not enough. Splits-wise, he hasn't faced Boston this year. Pitching at home, he's got a 3.19 ERA, so he is better at home. But Boston's been hitting lately, so this is one where you don't know what Boston team's going to show up, but I don't think I want to pay for Javier at 7,100. I would stay in the range of, I like Paul Blackburn actually. Winans I would look at. Those would be the ones that I look at in this price range and stay away from Javier. Next game, Mariners at the White Sox. You got Luis Castillo versus Touki Toussaint. Castillo, 41 plate appearances, 265 batting average against them, 24.4 K percentage. And I'm not taking Toussaint because the Mariners are just hitting right now very, very well. What was it? Julio Rodriguez had like 17 hits in 4 games, which even plausible to me. Like, I didn't even know. I mean, I get it. That's just crazy to think about. But Julio against Tukey, Brian O'Keefe. I said to use O'Keefe yesterday on Sunday, and he came through. Got some fantastic fantasy points at his price. Eugenio Suarez I would look at. Teoscar Hernandez I would look at. Big dumper Cal Raleigh against in the Windy City. I think he's going to take a huge dump in this ballpark. Hit a home run at least one or two. Dylan Moore I would look at as well. And then the White Sox bats, if you're not taking Luis Castillo, who we look at him, I mean, he's 10,300 game log wise, 11.8, not the best against Kansas City. Was a fantastic matchup for him in Kansas City. Went 7 innings but gave up 4 earned runs and only 3 strikeouts. Had a fantastic game against Baltimore. We see splits wise hasn't faced the White Sox this year. Pitching on the road, he is worse on the road, but I like his matchup here against Chicago. It'll really just come down to which way the wind's blowing and the ballpark factors in here. But I do like him. If you're not going with Castillo and you want to look at White Sox bats, Andrew Vaughn hit a home run for us yesterday. I would look at Luis Robert Jr., Moncada. Colas is more of a tournament option, though. Grandal's more of a tournament option. Same thing with Andrews. Maybe Benintendi for tournaments as well. So I'd lean more towards Luis Castillo and the Mariners bats in this one. Then the Reds at the Angels got Graham Ashcraft versus Lucas Giolito. Really haven't seen each other too much at all. So Ashcraft coming in, 8,500, 4.89 ERA, 6-8 record. Game logs, not a good game against Cleveland at home. He pitched against Miami at home, did well. 7 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 1 home run, 25.4 fantasy points. Pretty good here, 17. Like, he's had decent games. Now he's going up against the Angels. Never faced them this year, and only faced 11 total, so not much. Looking at this, he's pitching on the road, where he does have a better ERA, against an Angels team that, you know, there's a couple of bats. Obviously, Ohtani's a big one. But if he can pitch around Ohtani, he could have a good game. So Ashcraft, at that price, I don't mind him at 8,500. I like him a little bit more than Paxton at that price. I know he's only averaging 10.4. Again, Ashcraft can be lit up. But I think if he could pitch around a couple of the big bats in L.A., I think he could be in store for a good game. Looking at that, just to kind of see... Ohtani, obviously the best hitter in baseball right now. He would be one that I would use. If you're not using Ashcraft, I would use Ohtani. I would look at Brandon Drury. I would look at probably maybe, I don't know. It's tough. I think Ohtani and Drury are the big bats that you kind of have to go around. If he gets around them, I'm okay with that. Then you have Lucas Giolito. Got traded. Not the best, especially at his price. Now he's had some terrible matchups for him. He's faced, since getting traded, he's 3 starts: Atlanta, San Francisco, and Texas. Obviously, Texas is a good team. He went 6 innings there, gave up 4 earned runs, 5 Ks, only 10.1 fantasy points at 10,700. Against San Francisco, went 6 innings, 3 earned runs, 7 Ks. Against Atlanta, 3.2 innings, 9 earned runs. So not a ton there. Hasn't faced Cincy this year. Like I said, he's faced 7 total times, so hasn't really faced them ever outside of 7 at-bats. He's pitching at home, better ERA at home, 2.62. Like I've said, whether or not that's going to factor in because he got traded, he's only pitched in this ballpark 1 time as a home pitcher. So in theory, this could technically still feel like an away game for him, which an away game he has 6.14. So I'm probably looking at Cincy bats over using Giolito. I think I'm going to go pretty light on this day. Not a ton of huge pitchers that I feel confident about that I'd even want to consider using. So if I'm not using Giolito and I am looking at the Reds bats, I'm looking at Ellie De La Cruz. I would look at Joey Votto if he's playing. I would look at McClain and Spencer Steer. Maybe a little bit of Christian Encarnacion Strand. TJ Friedel, I don't mind. Probably a little bit of Stuart Fairchild, just depending on what lineup, what position he is in the batting order. So in this game, probably lean more towards Ashcraft for tournaments, not using Giolito. Outside of the Angels bats, I would use Drury and Ohtani, and then I would load up on the Reds bats. Then we got the Royals at the Athletics. Yeah, Tucker Davidson versus Paul Blackburn. This is in Oakland, so I like that. Probably not using Tucker Davidson. Look at him. I don't even know if he's on here. Let's see. So I wonder if Tucker Davidson is the opener. Just going to guess we're going to go with that stupid game again. Yeah, so he's going to be the opener. He's not going to do much. Comes in with a 6.4 ERA. Kind of like Oakland bats. I think Oakland bats will be underrated in this one, because then it looks like it's going to be Alec Marsh. So if it is in fact Alec Marsh after the opener, he last pitched on Wednesday. Went 5 innings in that game, 15.3 fantasy points. Whether or not it's going to affect differently because he doesn't start the game and he comes in for a different mindset of being in, not starting a game, could be good. But I'm probably not taking Marsh or Tucker or Davidson, whatever his name is. So if I look at that, Oakland bats, Zach Geloff I would look at, Brent Rooker, Seth Brown I would look at, Shea Langoliers maybe a little bit, if he's even still up. I can't even remember if he's up. Let's see if he's still up. I assume he is because it's the A's. They don't really... Yeah, so he's still up. I would look at that. I kind of like Paul Blackburn too. So if we look into Paul Blackburn a little bit, especially at his price, like we talked about, in this price range, I'd use him over Javier, Winans, Peterson, Falter. So looking at Blackburn, game logs, really good game against St. Louis. 7 innings pitched, 8 Ks. St. Louis is a considerably... Well... on paper they're a better team than Kansas City. Now this is in Oakland, so it's a huge ballpark for pitchers. We look at this. He's pitching at home. He has a better ERA at home, 3.89 ERA. He has more Ks at home. He does have more walks. Only giving up 3 home runs at home. Less earned runs, same amount of runs, less hits allowed, in only a little under 2 innings more there. So looking at this, I kind of like Blackburn at 7,000. I think he's going to be cheap. Like, you just look at this. You could draft Blackburn, you could draft Rom, and then that's 11,000 there. That right there is only $400 more than just taking Blake Snell by himself, or 700 more than Castillo by himself there. So I mean, you could do a lot with this. That would be a good start there. If you're not using Blackburn, MJ Melendez I'd look at. Bobby Witt I would look at. Salvi I would look at. Michael Massey I would look at. Maybe little Freddie Furman as well. But I kind of like Paul Blackburn as a cheaper option on this slate. Now, the Royals have screwed us over lately. Pitchers we've taken against them, they've hit well for whatever reason. I kind of like Paul Blackburn still here. Then we got the Rangers at the Diamondbacks. Jordan Montgomery versus Slade Ciccone, whatever his name is. Montgomery, Monty, 33 plate appearances, 394 batting average, 15.2 K percentage. So we could look at him. He is the third highest priced pitcher at 9,800. Game logs, pretty good game against the Angels. 6 innings pitched, 9 strikeouts, 29.9 fantasy points. Is that his best start of the year? Nope. He had a good game against Milwaukee with 9 Ks, no earned runs at 34.8 at 8,300. Now, Arizona is good. He's faced them once this year, only went 4 innings in that game, 7 earned runs, 1 home run, 15.75 ERA, and -7 fantasy points in that game. I'm trying to see if it's in Arizona or at St. Louis. It's going to be messed up. So it was obviously at home against Arizona in one of these messed up games because he got traded, so it's showing his old team for whatever reason. So, yeah. Monty, I'll take him in tournaments, but he has been lit up by this Arizona team. And then Jabroni, Mamoni, he's 5,600. He's the lowest priced pitcher. Game logs, yeah, he has not been good. Not been good at all. I would not use him, especially against Texas. I think you could probably stack this game bats-wise and not go pitching. Just kind of looking at them. Obviously, the ones that pop out at you at the most, obviously Corey Seager. Love Corey Seager here. Adolis Garcia, I would look at. Mitch Garver. I mean, Texas bats are kind of like Atlanta bats. You can't really go wrong with most of them. I would look at Nate Lowe. I would look at Jonah Heim. I would look at Robbie Grossman. I would look at Marcus Semien on top of that. Jankowski as well. Now, if you aren't going with Monty and you want to go with Arizona bats, Tommy Pham against the lefty I would take. He's got great numbers. Ketel Marte. Corbin Carroll still lefty on lefty. I don't mind. Gabriel Moreno. I don't mind. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. if he's in there. He has been day-to-day the past few games, so definitely make sure he's in there. I don't think he's been on the IL or been put on the IL yet. If he is that hurt, that should be out, obviously, before we build lineups. Christian Walker I would look at against a lefty for sure. Those would probably be the ones I'd look at. Pham, maybe Buddy Kennedy is very cheap. If he even starts, I doubt he starts, though. Ketel Marte, Corbin Carroll, Moreno, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., Christian Walker, some sort of stack in that one. So I'm probably avoiding both of these pitchers. I will throw Monty in at least one tournament lineup just to have him in there, but I'd rather have the bats in this game. And then the final game, according to this website, we don't know who's going to be pitching for the Marlins and the Padres. But according to DraftKings, it's Blake Snell, who it should be, because he did pitch last on 8/16. So this should be his turn in the rotation. Not his best start, but he had a decent start against Baltimore. 6 innings pitched, 5 Ks. Against Arizona, went 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 7 Ks for 23.9. Then he had a start against the Dodgers, but they're a really good team. He went 5 innings in that, and that was the first time he gave up 3 earned runs since May 1st. And he's only given up 4 runs one time. The rest have been 3 or under, and it's been a very good stretch for him. Now he's going up against Miami. Now they do hit lefties well. He's faced Miami once this year, 6 innings pitched, no earned runs, 7 strikeouts, 23.9 fantasy points is exactly the kind of thing we would need here. Now, if he is in, we do like Blake Snell. He is expensive, though, at $10,600 against Miami, who they've been hitting lefties kind of well. And then, according to this, it's going to be Johnny Cueto. He last pitched on Tuesday, so it should be his start. Went 5.1 innings against Houston, 4 runs, 3 Ks, 4 fantasy points. I wouldn't use him. I would look at San Diego bats. So, overall, a little bit of Blake Snell in tournaments. I don't know if I trust him in cash enough. But we'll look at these numbers here and see what Miami bats could have success against him. Jake Berger, I don't mind. Jesus Sanchez is one I would look at. Jorge Soler smashes lefties. You can go look at the batter splits. He absolutely smashes lefties. I would look at him. I would look at Brian De La Cruz. I would look at Josh Bell. I would not be surprised if this just kind of... We know that Blake Snell's really good. We've used him multiple weeks, multiple games, multiple months, and he is absolutely shoved for us. But I also know that at this price at $10,600, it feels like a Framber Valdez, where he's going to get lit up. Now, I'm going to be on the train of I could be absolutely wrong. You can come back and tell me if I was wrong or not. But I might be fading Blake Snell here and doing a Miami stack because the price is here. I don't like it. I might be going Miami stack. Now, I could be completely wrong. This is where I'm different than other DFS providers. If they're wrong, sometimes I've even seen them delete their videos, delete their comments, delete their messages in Discord. I'm here to tell you I'm off of Blake Snell today. I'm looking at Miami as a stack. Let me know your thoughts on that down below. So that is that. I'm not using Cueto. I would be using... the Miami as a stack. I think they're a fantastic contrarian stack today. And then if you're not using Cueto, I would look at Juan Soto 100% here. I would look at Fernando Tatis Jr. I would look at Trent Grisham. I don't mind Machado. I'm okay with Gary Sanchez, but he's very boomer bust, a home run or bust. He's real Joey Gallo-like for sure. Garrett Cooper I like to use more against lefties, so if it is a lefty I'm okay with, but it looks like it's going to be most likely going to be Cueto. I would look at Jake Cronenworth. I would look at Kim a little bit as well, maybe Bogarts as well. So those would be the one I'd look at. I'm probably avoiding pitching in this game. And there you have it. There's the breakdown of the pitchers and the batters. Like I said and promised, we will give out. So we've gone ahead and simulated 2,000 times. Like I said, by an hour before lineups lock, we will have simulated 10,000 times. But I wanted to give you guys the what we've got here. I'm going to give the top 12 bats, actually. I don't think it's going to be a surprise. There's going to be one stack that I think is a surprise here. But let's just get it. The simulations currently like Corey Seager, number 1, against Ciccone. Riley Green against Assad. Nate Lowe against Ciccone. Seth Brown versus Davidson. Mitch Garver versus Ciccone. Ketel Marte versus Montgomery. Now I'm gonna watch this Arizona team or game, and I'm gonna hear them give the pronunciation for him, and then my next video that he's in, I will have it correct. So I could be completely wrong. But Ketel Marte versus Montgomery. It's got Carlos Perez versus Davidson. It's got Tony Kemp versus Davidson. Adolis Garcia versus Ciccone. Bobby Witt Jr. versus Blackburn, Marcus Semien versus Ciccone, and Shohei Ohtani versus Ashcraft. So if any of you are are Arizona fans, let me know if I'm pronouncing it right or wrong, and let me know how to pronounce it. But it does, right here, just to break down, it's got 5 Texas bats in the top 12 so far. This could change, obviously, by the time we lock the lineups. It has 1 Detroit batter. It has 3 Oakland batters, 1 Arizona, and 1 Kansas City bat, along with 1 Angel, which is the entire team, Shohei Ohtani. So looking at pitchers, these are the ones that it currently likes in this order, but it will probably change, so use that in your thought process. But Luis Castillo versus the White Sox, Aaron Nola versus the Phillies, or versus San Francisco, Giolito versus Cincy, which I'm probably off of. I'm probably looking at Cincy as a stack. Ashcraft against LA. Again, if he can pitch around Drury and Ohtani, I'm okay with him. Touki Toussaint, I want nothing to do with. I'm looking at Seattle bats against him. James Paxton against Houston. I do like him in tournaments. Paul Blackburn versus Kansas City. I like, in my personal rankings, I think he's a little bit higher than that. It's got Alex Faedo against the Cubs. I don't know about that. Again, though, it's an early slate with only 2 games, so anything goes in that. Jordan Montgomery against Arizona. It's got Christian Javier versus Boston. Javier Assad versus Detroit. Now, these will change. It will update throughout the day. So check the website, FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. Sign up to FTA Plus if you would. Go check it out. We are 2 weeks away from NFL. Like I said in the other video, we will be pumping out some NFL preseason content with rankings and draft guides and stuff like that, so definitely check that out. And the link to the DraftKings Fantasy Football Weekly League down below in the description of this video, along with today's article. So if you click on the article down below, check it out. It's got some of the pitchers that we like and about 3 batters at each position that we like. We pull those straight from what we put on our cheat sheet. Those will update. So those are the ones we like there. So good luck on this slate, everybody, and come back tomorrow for a full Tuesday slate. Let's bring home some bacon today, guys. Peace!